Welcome back, Scratchers. At this point, we have our enemy and our player in the game, but notice that there is no interaction between them. If we had the enemy fly into our plane, normally we'd expect our plane and the enemy probably to both be destroyed. So how can we implement that within our game here? Well, let's start with destroying the blue zero. So in order to destroy it, before we destroy it, we need to know, first off, when to destroy it. And if we basically want that to happen when they touch each other. To go back to the sensing blocks, we've used this touching before. This touching block, and specifically we've used when touching the edge to say when I touch the edge, I need to go away. But we can also do this for any one of our sprites. So the P38 sprite is the player sprite, and if it happens to be touching, this will actually resolve to true in the case that they're actually touching one another. And also because this is a Boolean block, we need to snap it into an if then. And now, how do we actually make the plane disappear? Well, because this is actually a clone, the easiest way is actually just to go ahead and delete the clone. Because if we run into the player plane, it's done. We're done with it just like if it ran off the bottom of the screen, like it does here. And then we need to be doing this test repeatedly, basically as our plane moves. So a logical place to put it would be to put it right after we've moved the plane, check to see if we're touching the player. If we are, then we blow up early. Otherwise, we just continue moving down until we hit that bottom. Let's try running that now and see what happens when we hit one of our planes. Notice they just immediately pop out of existence. So that's really what we wanted to see, but we also need to do that for our player. So let's go take a look at the player's P38. And we will do something very similar, an if then, and in the sensing. And we'll say, okay, if we are touching a blue zero, which is our enemy, then we want our player plane to go away. Now this one, we can't delete the clone because it is not a clone, right? We only have one sprite and we're not cloning it. So instead, we'll have to hide the plane so we can't see it. And then where are we going to put this in here? Well, you'll notice these are not actually dealing with downward motion. They're moving left to right. Really doesn't make sense to put in there. So we're going to put it in its own block, its own forever loop, if you will. And then we're going to find in our events this when green flag. But basically, once we start running the game, we will continue checking forever. And anytime we actually find ourselves touching that blue zero, we're going to hide this plane. Let's see if this works. Notice our P38 disappeared, but our blue zero did not. And to emphasize that, let's go ahead and make our plane show back up. We'll just add a wait to say, okay, wait 1 second. And then after that 1 second, we will go ahead and show the plane again. So this kind of works like infinite lives. We're going to get destroyed, but then we'll pop back into existence. And then also we need to make sure that when the green flags first click, we automatically show our plane back up. Now we'll see it pop out of existence, and we got one of the enemy. And actually, we got a bunch of the enemy, and then we disappeared. You might be wondering, what's going on? It seems like either the enemy is disappearing or my P38 is disappearing, but not both. And that's absolutely true. Because think about what we're actually asking. Am I touching this other sprite? So if I touch a blue zero, I disappear. And if I'm invisible, then that sprite can't be touching me. The same thing over here. If we go look at our blue zero, if I touch the P38, then I delete this clone, which means that clone is no longer there for that P38 to touch. And the reason it works like this is because actually Scratch is not doing all this stuff exactly the same time. It's actually executing each stack of blocks separately, and when it gets into the bottom of a loop, or a wait, or a block like that, it pauses executing this specific stack of blocks and picks up with another stack of blocks, executes them until it hits a similar pausing point, switches to another one. And it does this switching so quickly that it seems like everything is happening all at once. But in reality, it's only ever really doing one thing at a time. And so the easiest way of making sure that this doesn't disappear is to go back to our control blocks and add a wait before we delete the clone. And this wait can actually be 0 seconds, which means go let everybody else get caught up and then immediately pick up where we left off. And when I say immediately, I'm talking milliseconds. It is extremely fast. And we'll do the same thing for a P38. We can add a wait right before we hide, so that it's possible for the P38 to also notice it's touching. So with these changes, what's going to happen is when we touch, the P38 says, oh, I got touched. Then pauses for just that millisecond, lets the blue 0 say, oh, I just touched the P38, and pauses just for a millisecond. Then they both continue what they were going to do. So that'll actually make it disappear the way we expect.